Evening all, welcome to part 4. Oh, right, it's getting there. It's coming on nicely now. Right, we're building that. Just a reminder, I show it in every video. That's it. It's building that, minus the mining lasers. But what we're going to do here is, this is the final kind of finishing bits now. I know it doesn't look it, but you'll see what I mean. In the next video, actually, we start moving it. So you have to wait for that. But this is it. The last few bits, just finishing, closing, sealing, gapping, etc. And as I look at it now, I realize there's actually quite a lot to do on this one, but it was fascinating to me to try and do almost like curved angular surfaces. And to be honest, I feel like I aced it kind of. You'll see I needed a bit of tidying up when I got towards the end, but you'll see what I mean. When you start to do, I guess, spherical surfaces or arched 3D surfaces, it's very difficult indeed. So I think the Apocalypse, while it looked to be the easier one to do, it was actually probably the harder one to do by quite a long way. But anyway, we'll see. Way to think of this, and I think one of the key things that we kind of get, need to be clear of is how big is a person compared to these ships. And there's some really good art out there that does show the comparison of a human being or two Eve ships, and it's quite cool because the reality is that this ship is supposedly 1,570 meters long, which is like 1.5 kilometers basically, and that is quite a bit when you think about it. That's like a long ship. But if you actually record out what that is end to end, it's sizable, but certainly I think we've probably just about got that in this. I don't know, post in the comments. I think we've got it. I think we do. I probably should tell you how long the ship is in terms of blocks, but I actually can't. I don't know. I'd need to actually figure that out, but I think it's going to be something like 1,000 blocks long. So if we assume that each block that you see is firstly the height of a human being, so that's at least 1.5 meters, then you can assume that that's just about right. So I don't know, is that right? Who knows? I'm probably completely wrong, but I think it feels just about kind of right. But we'll see. So I think 1,000 blocks long at 1.5 meters per block means that this thing in length is about 1,500 meters long, which is in IRL, if there was such a thing as an apocalypse in IRL, it means that this is actually to scale. Very long way of saying that, but we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding when we test it towards the end. It certainly feels huge, that's all I can say, and I think it's when you kind of embark on a build like this that you maybe realize to yourself, actually, it's very unlikely that humankind would need a ship this big. And here's a thought for you, because the reality is that, when Eve started, the frigate was actually the biggest ship out there. And that was what, pretty much the game was based around. And I think over time, people asked for more and more bigger ships and blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because they never thought of including a capital ship. They actually made the battleship. And the battleship was supposedly, quote, the biggest ship in the game. I remember that. I remember them saying that very categorically. So I'm kind of interested in that. I think the reality is that when capitals came in, I think they lost track of how big these things actually are. That's my opinion of it anyway. And I think, I know it's the future, but the sci-fi around it is very unrealistic. Like, you can mine a battleship, I think, in something like 10, 15 minutes with a barge. Or rather a team of barges. But either way, that's how it's supposedly kind of working. And I don't know, I have trouble with that. I have major trouble with that. When you get a game like this that is solely based around, a human being is the scale of the thing. So the human being, the engineer that I'm playing, is a first-person game. So everything is based around the scale of the size of a man, me. And what's fascinating is that the reality is that there would be no need to build ships this big. It would be kind of stupid to build ships this big because it would just be a massive waste of resources. Anyway, discuss. I think I'm right. Post in the comments if you disagree. I think when you look at the size of what we built our flagship to be, that seemed to be about right, because that was just about a cruiser, maybe a small cruiser, maybe, but a destroyer stroke cruiser. And I think, to be honest, in this game, that's kind of, I think, what you're probably going to aspire to get. Because let me pose a question to you. Why would you need anything bigger than this? People aren't living on these things. There's one human being on these ships, a pod pilot. So why would you need like such a big ship? Do you see what I mean? It's like, it doesn't quite make sense. But I don't know. Maybe I've got something wrong. Post in the comments. But to me, it just doesn't make kind of sense. Anyway, let's move on. I think maybe it's just good sci-fi. I know, but I'm kind of playing devil's advocate. I think the reality is that a lot of space ships, I guess, unless they're really designed for war. Well, even if they are, particularly if they're designed for war, they probably wouldn't be huge, great big moving targets like this. That would just be massive, costly, resource sinks when you could, I don't know, build a couple of cruisers. That's the kind of feeling I have. It's like when you look at like modern naval warfare, look at even old naval warfare like World War II. The what was that great big battleship called? I've completely forgotten. It gone out of my mind. Oh God, it's completely gone from my mind. But it was such a threat. Yes, there was a reason why they built it, but the reality was it was just a threat. It was never, if it was ever lost in battle, my God, that would be pretty bad. But yeah, I don't know. I can kind of see maybe them being a kind of deterrent. But I think in real terms, I don't think there'd be much call for a ship of this size, particularly maybe not in this universe. Oh, a bit depressing, isn't it? I think, I guess in a long way, I'm just saying that to me, Eve and CCP have got their ship sizing all completely wrong. And to be honest, it's something that started when they made the battleship. Because from that point forward, they were pretty much doomed, because the only way they could impress would be to go bigger. Do you know what I mean? I think they kind of did pull back from that, because all of a sudden you did see Tech 2 come through and you started to see more. They've never made anything bigger than a Titan, because I think they accepted that it was a stupid addition to the game in a way, because it's a pointless ship. It had no real purpose. It was just a status symbol for very rich veteran players, and that, I think, even to this day, is all it has still become. Is just, it's a mark that you're too much into Eve, to be honest with you. I know I certainly took it as that, because my God, I tried to copy the thing there. That almost crashed my game. I always took the Titan pretty much a statement to myself that I'm playing too much, when I could afford 4 Titans, and I had 4 Titans, and I'm sat there building more Titans, and I'm just sat there, counting my ISK, thinking, yeah, I'm pro. I think the reality was, no, not really. I think it was a bit of a pointless endeavor, in hindsight. But there we go. That's the nature of all gaming, I'm afraid. I think it is all ultimately, self-rewarding, self-abuse in a way. And no, I don't mean like that. So I don't know. Anyway, so as we continue our Apocalypse build, the last few bits are kind of coming into place now. I think really just trying to get the ass of this thing right. It's not the easiest thing to get a sloping ass, as J-Lo will tell you. You just need to be very, very careful, I think, as well, when you kind of figuring out when you take away stuff. So you see here, we're removing blocks. Need to be very careful when we do that. Just because we have built, again, one of the things I really do like about the game is that if I accidentally split this thing in half, it's screwed, it's gone, it's wasted. You can't weld it back together. And I quite like that. I think that's a cool part of the game. So I would say your construction frames are actually quite important. So don't forget your scaffolds whenever you do them. I had a look online as well. I did actually log on to Eve-Online and load in an Apocalypse. I went and found and bought one off the market and had a quick look at it, because I couldn't quite figure out its ass. But that didn't help. So I ended up actually, looking at some old footage from way back, and I found myself ratting in an Apocalypse, which just makes me smile. And I remember that it was actually a sloped back with a kind of bevel edge around it. But yeah, I think there's just one of those things in it. By this point as well, I was getting very comfortable with the building part of this game. I think it was really coming together, and I felt like it was certainly becoming quite easy, let's say, to do these things. And you can see here I'm getting quite good at the whole kind of chamfered edge support going into the top part. I hope you're enjoying these videos, and again, post in the comments if you know for any suggestions. I think because I think what I would really recommend is this game is just a toy box, and I think it can build anything. And I think my next build, because obviously this one is nearing completion, a couple more to go, then I think that's kind of it. I think I'm quite keen to maybe look at some of the other ships. I am also quite keen to maybe look at the development schedule of the game to see when they're going to optimize it again, hopefully each patch. But I think when they optimized it last, it made it so that you could actually run 2 or 3 times the size of builds than you could previously. So I'm quite excited about seeing what they're going to do maybe next, but we'll look at that. And I think certainly I'm keen to maybe look at some other ships as well. I'm probably going to have a go at a Babylon 5 ship as well, just because, again, people. I mean, there are probably people watching this video who are now saying, "What's Babylon 5?" In which case, I'm weeping with eternal tears of sorrow, because it was some of the best sci-fi ever made. Okay, Star Trek, Star Wars is brilliant, yes, but Babylon 5 was regular good sci-fi, and that's you don't need a film for that. Star Trek, yeah, it's good. It's great stuff, I admit. But there was something very endearing about Babylon 5, and I think I always quite liked some of the ships that came out from that. I always thought they did. Their ship design was very, very good. So, kind of all credit to them for that. I think as well, some of the kind of really older, sci-fi out there as well, I'd love to have a look at as well. I would love to build a base of some kind based upon something, not necessarily Babylon 5, but maybe, I don't know, Space 1999? I mean, nobody probably remembers that. Or UFO, that's an old British sci-fi series. I vaguely remember it. I remember sitting down and watching it just before the Muppet Show, or after the Muppet Show came on a Sunday. I used to have a bath and get put in front of that to watch. So, yeah. So we go. The ass of our apocalypse is done. We are going to smooth these top lines as well, but we'll do them in time. Again, no rush for that. While I've been doing this, Nano's been working diligently on the front. As you can see, look, there he is. He just dipped into the hole. And he's drawn his little cut line as well, which is sweet. So at least we then know where to cut. But while he's doing that, I'm going to finish off the front prong and then the underneath. And then in theory, this thing is sealed. So there we go. That's coming on quite nicely. I would stress that if you're going to take on something like this, if you're going to build something like this, maybe just have a good few pictures of what you're building next to you. I actually had a screen pretty much with all of my apocalypse, pictures on my other laptop, other screen, which helped a lot, because just having that ability to turn your head and go, does it go like that? Or does it go like that? Or does it go like this? Does it go like that? It really did help. And I think particularly when you're trying to build something quite complex, as you see here, you can get the angles wrong, and you can actually end up doing quite a lot of work that ends up being aborted, which is very annoying. So just bear that in mind. Also, I think try and avoid massive extents of level blocks. What I mean by that is if you just do one great big 2-dimensional disc or square of blocks, for some reason that seems to lag the game. Whereas if you build just like have you got here, nothing is over sort of like 100 by 20. It's all nothing's 100 by 100, let's say, because that would probably cause problems. I know it's weird, isn't it? We just noticed that all the way through it. We weren't getting too much lag, because maybe we weren't doing too many single large panels. But I mean, as you can see, this thing's getting effing huge now. I mean, this is like, pretty significantly huge. But I would honestly say that this is one of those things that, again, games like this are kind of designed for, really. I mean, they give you a blank canvas so that in the hope that you'll go and do something like this. Because to be honest, most of the time, they want people to, use their imagination. And imagination is something that I think nowadays is so, under fire all the time, because you're kind of given, what you're told what to think and feel from school. You're told what to think and feel from, your parents and your friends. And it's just, very few people, I think, have much individuality anymore. Yet, ironically, we live in an age of individuality where everybody's kind of, I'm all right, Jack, fuck you. And that's the kind of ironic nature of modern life, I guess. I mean, you see it more and more with like, I want to be an individual, and then they go and get like the latest I don't know, Kardashian jeans and they wear the latest Victoria Beckham perfume and that. And it's like, in what way is that you being an individual? That's you being a sheep. I tried to tell this to a friend of mine once, and literally I've still got the punch mark because she wasn't too impressed. But there we go. What can you do? I think a lot of the time, just do what you want, really, and live your life, be you. But don't ever let people tell you what to do. That's the thing. I always used to watch Bob Ross painting, and I think he always has such a great outlook on life. Firstly, I think that guy must have literally taken 1,000 Valium or something, because he was the most relaxed person I've ever seen in my life. And it's funny because he used to be actually in the army as a drill instructor. I shit you not, he was a sergeant drill instructor. But he said he had done so much shouting. He's, again, typical Bob Ross style. So I've done so much shouting in my life, I haven't got time for it anymore. I thought, fuck yeah, this guy's chill. Mellow as fuck, he really is. And I think there's, a lot of people could do quite well just taking his philosophy of life, because sometimes it's just about doing what you got to do in it. And it's why I do the channel, to be quite honest with you. I think a lot of the time you just want to sort of try something different, and I don't know, just do something nice, do something creative. And it's easy to destroy, it's easy to kill and blah 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 in a game, but I tell you what, it's incredibly difficult to build, but it's ultimately the most rewarding as well. So I think I can show you 20 videos of dust of me jumping over a tank and shotgunning somebody in the face, then planting a remote explosive in the ass of another merc and then watching it explode, and that's all very good and fun. But I think sometimes it gets tiring. And this is why games like this are almost like, I don't know, they're like a sponge, just to clean your brain a bit, you know what I mean? Just to get you thinking a bit more, just to maybe kind of engage a different part of your brain and just sort of think to yourself, what can I build? What can I sit and turn and produce from absolutely nothing, something? And that's true art in my book. If people can turn a blank canvas into something beautiful and interesting and funny, or sad or thought-provoking, or something like that, I think that is art to me. No matter what form it comes, or no matter how it looks, that is pure art. No, I'm not saying my videos are artwork. No, I'm not losing my mind. This is just me waxing lyrical with you and seeing how we go. But there we go. Not too bad. I hope you agree. In the next video, we start to move this thing and we finish it off. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.